In the early 90s, war started in Bosnia after the fall of Yugoslavia, a federation of Balkan states. Bosnian Muslims were driven from their homes. Rape was used as a weapon of war. I'd gone back with Zainab Salbi to hear how 30 years ago, as a young Iraqi immigrant studying in Washington, D.C., she and her husband, Amjad Atalla, were so horrified by scenes of this war in Europe that they were compelled to act.
I was 23 years old, and Amjad, the co-founder of Women for Women International, Amjad Atalla, was 27 years old. We were demonstrating because of the war in Bosnia. There was injustice, there were rape camps, there were concentration camps. And we knew we have to do something about it. Then we went around and realized we're not the only ones who want to help. There are lots of people who want to help. We don't have much money, so we wanted to help in small ways. That's the only thing we could. So we created the sponsorship program where we asked every woman to sponsor one woman at a time by sending her money and letters and pictures. We did not know anybody in Sarajevo, so we, through a friend who was at the Bosnian embassy, who was an activist, she said, I have my mother, why don't you stay with her in Sarajevo? I meet her mother, who was a piano teacher, Farida Mushanovic. And she then, this piano teacher and the head of the music school, started becoming our first Women for Women International, volunteer. Then we found a way to get her the money and the letters in her house. She translated the letters with her sister, went to refugee camps, or the women came to her house, gave them the money, exchanged the pictures and the letters, and that's how it started.
On that first trip, Zainab, with the Bosnian volunteers, helped 30 women. And that was the beginning of the organization I now lead. Coming back to Bosnia made us reflect in different ways. For me, to see how far Women for Women International has come since it began 30 years ago. For Zainab, reuniting with the women with whom she shared the intensity of those early days has been really moving. To reconnect with Saida Sarek, the first country director in Bosnia, again, after so long, was particularly poignant for Zainab.
I don't have sisters, biological sisters, and so all the women I worked with in my tenure at Women for Women became my sisters, and Saida was the first one.
Today, Saida still leads our Bosnian organization, Žene za žene. They not only continue supporting women survivors of the Bosnian War, but also run a democracy academy for a new generation.
Teaching young women, we believe that we are teaching the entire community, because they are our future and they are ones who need to understand absolutely what is democracy.
I remember when I attended the Academy Democracy, the one thing that stuck in my head, we are a community of over 500,000 people, and women, strong women.
I'd been to Bosnia before, but this was the first time I'd visited this piece of the country's past. This cramped tunnel was a lifeline when the city of Sarajevo was under siege. The citizens dug a tunnel so that food and medical supplies could reach the desperate people who were trapped. It became known as the Tunnel of Hope.
Saida, how long did it take to walk this tunnel?
It depends really. It was in between 30 minutes and 1 hour.
This?
Really depends how busy it is. Is it just one side or both sides coming and passing? And Lauren, this is the way how our letters and money came to Sarajevo, and letters from Sarajevo to Washington, D.C.
30 years later, millions of people killed, displaced from Bosnia. This is Women for Women International followed all the wars. And you would think the world would have changed and would have understood that wars do not work and that raping of women in war or in any time must stop, and it's a war crime. And here we are,
Exactly.
30 years later, in Ukraine. It's the same thing. It's unbelievable how people do not learn the lessons from the past.
A couple hours' drive from Sarajevo is the village of Amici in the Lasva Valley. There, we met with Taiba, a survivor with a particularly harrowing experience of the war. She showed us into the house that's been in her family for decades, and then she sat down to talk with me and Zainab.
Te 1993. u ranim jutarnjim časovima
In the early morning,
napadnuto je moje selo
my village was attacked,
i
and
116
116
mojih
my
komšija,
neighbors,
ljudi, žena,
people,
djeci
women, children
ubijeno je.
were murdered.
What Taiba witnessed was a massacre. She and her family became refugees in another village.
Onda sam ja babi rekla, babo, ja odoh do tog sela što smo bili smješteni, tu ću prije saznati, jer su dole dolazile strašne vijesti da je sve što je ostalo izginulo, da je žene su padale u nesvijest, ovo, ono. Ja sam morala da saznam šta je sa mojim tim sestrama, njihovom djecom, ljudima. I po povratku u selo saznajem da je moja jedna sestra u zarobljeništvu s djecom i s mužem, a druga sestra moja je izbjegla u Travnik.
Years later, after the war was over, they returned to Amici. Other women returned too, most of them widows who'd lost husbands, sons, brothers in the massacre.
Jednog lijepog dana u naše selo stiže vijest, još ljepša vijest, da u selo dolazi organizacija Women for Women koja želi da vrati žene tehnici, da ih nauči nekim tehnikama nešto. Tada se lično u meni probudio nekakav prkos da se život pobijedi. I tada je došla ideja da osnujemo udruženje žena koje se zove Amičanke, koji danas dan postoji.
What Taiba did, what the women in her group did, they started small farms and sewing collectives. They moved forward.
There are many women around the world who are suffering. What's your message to them?
Žene su snažne, Boga.
Women are very powerful.
Zainab started this mission. We who take on the torch from her at Women for Women International will keep on working as hard as we can. As Zainab says, there's never been a greater need.
Don't thank me, don't thank you. Just help another woman and another woman and another woman and another woman, and help her financially and emotionally and spiritually and every way you know. But keep on doing that, and that is, the butterfly effect. That is the sisterhood effect. That is the unstoppable effect that no army, no government, no fascist regime, no militias, no war, nothing can stop that power of women.